Hello, I am Brock Stanton. I am an aspiring meteorologist, and today we are going to talk about a snow event for portions of the Northeast, which I'll admit I was not expecting to be saying in mid-April, but, here we are. Weather can be weird sometimes, and what kind of does surprise me about this event is that while it's not going to be that as significant as a snowstorm as obviously what we've seen earlier in the winter, or even for a lot of areas that snowstorm we had back in mid-March, for mid-April, it's going to stretch pretty far south. So, like, areas down here, this model shows down in portions of south central Pennsylvania. So there, over in that overall sounding, it's rain. But if we pick pick this hour here, just take a sounding from a similar, I believe it will show snow. Yeah, there we go. So, despite the surface temperatures just above freezing, because of the cold air aloft, precipitation will likely be to some period where we see snow, and I can speak from living in central and south central Pennsylvania, right in this area for several years. I can tell you that we normally do not get snow in mid-April. In fact, I don't remember a time where that's happened, particularly for my exact location before. Not saying it hasn't happened, I'm just saying I don't remember it. So, while I don't think this is going to be the most impactful snowstorm, especially for areas farther south, areas further north you can see are probably going to see a good bit more snow, but I'm talking for the southern areas just because that's where I know how to forecast winter storms a little bit more. It's not going to be anything of too significance. It's kind of just going to be like, oh, weird, it's snowing on what will be the 18th and 19th of April. So, kind of very weird. So this is how our NAM shows it playing out. You can see actually our nor'easter low pressure right here. It kind of rides up along the coast before, I believe, eventually going inland, yes. So that's what the NAM shows on the preset map. Now we're just going to take a look at our Kuchera snowfall ratios. And this, what I'm going to show you here, is going to be better if you saw your location not mixing with rain. In general, ground temperatures, given the fact we're in mid-April, is probably going to be an issue with this snowstorm. But the Kuchera ratio for calculating how much snow is fall is going to be at least okay for where areas that start out as that just stay snow the whole time, or do we start out as snow? That can be fairly accurate. But I think snow depth for areas that start out as rain is more accurate just because it becomes a lot harder for snow to accumulate. So we can see how snow depth is way more limiting with this event. And I think it could perhaps be higher than what these values show up here. But again, you can see how down here, yes, snow falls, but it doesn't really accumulate on the NAM. And this, I show this first because I don't see how, south central Pennsylvania gets a notable amount of snowfall from this. That's why I showed this one first compared to another model I'm going to show in a minute that does show a little more snow occurring. So let's see. We're going to take a look at the temperatures. Just kind of see how the temperatures are going to be very marginal for this event. And we're going to take a look in Monday. Well, this is Monday afternoon. 46 degrees. 41, 44, up in the 50s. And then the cold air does come in, and that's why the accumulation is going to be limited with this event, is that basically areas in the blue is where you get freezing or below. So you can see that's very isolated, and even so, if you had temperatures in highs as the 50s, it's really going to struggle to accumulate. So, like I said, while Kuchera might be a little better for areas that do stay snow the whole time, I would still really don't see how areas see like a foot of snow. Could be wrong. I'm not experienced with forecasting in upstate New York, but that just doesn't seem quite right considering the factors in the temperatures the day before. But that's the NAM 3K. We're now going to take a look at least for the southern areas, a much more aggressive output by the HRRR. And again, I don't really believe this is what we're going to be seeing, but I do believe that it's important to show all the options. I think this is model's way overdoing it, but still want to show it just to show a higher end version of the storm. You can see change over to snow, and we kind of stay snow for a lot longer in these southern areas. You can see this banding of snow sets up, and that heavier snowfall rates could make up for the still marginal ground temperatures. And then you can see that band of snow, it really develops, and you can see that's all the way through it on the HRRR. And we're going to take a look at our snow depth change first. In this model, again, I don't believe this for a second, but it tries to give areas very far south, like 2 to 4 localized higher amounts of snow. I don't, that's not happening, but I wanted to show it. Yeah, this is a much more aggressive solution that I don't believe it is also an outlier So that, again, that really doesn't make me think it's going to happen. Like, just, it doesn't make sense for a significant snowstorm to take this place in mid-April, especially across this more southern area. And then when you take a look at all the other models, you're just going to see there's not support for this solution. We're just going to take a look at Kuchera ratio, but again, I think this model is just super aggressive with it. I also think for winter storms, the NAM 3K is superior than the HRRR. Severe weather, I believe the opposite, but obviously winter storms, severe weather are very different. Yeah, I don't see that. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I would listen to your National Weather Service with this, see what they're saying, but I don't see how areas get so much snow with this event. That just doesn't seem reasonable whatsoever. And again, because we're just going to take a look at our temperatures, keep in mind how warm it is exactly where you are today, but look how we get into the day on Monday. Temperatures warm into the 50s, and then this model says you're going to get a foot of snow overnight. That doesn't check. That doesn't just make sense. I mean, sometimes weather does not make sense, but that's pushing it a little bit. And yes, we looked at snow depth, so I just don't see how that's too realistic of a scenario. So, given the fact that's not too realistic of a scenario, let's look at what some other models are portraying. Okay, so this is the wrap. This model's pretty solid. It's not amazing, but I think it's pretty good. And also, it has a more middle-end solution. Well, I think the 21C was more aggressive than the 15, but still not as aggressive as the HRRR. And you can see how snow is going to develop into the evening and overnight hours. And you can see the low moves right up the coast. See the mixing line in there. And again, upstate New York. Again, I don't know exactly how much snow we're going to be seeing in upstate New York because I've been with family during Easter, so I just kind of saw the system was happening but didn't really do too much forecasting in it until a little bit before I recorded this video, so I was just mostly focusing on my area. But something I can take away from just looking at the models is that I don't know exactly how much it is, but upstate New York seems to be getting the most snowfall from the system. Let's take a look at our snow depth change. Again, I think this is a more realistic, still aggressive, but much more realistic. You can see here's this area of over 6 inches, which if an area were to get it would be upstate New York. I don't really know. Again, I haven't followed this system too much, but even down here, saying over an inch of snow, which to me, again, still just seems aggressive because when we look at the temperatures, gets up into about 50, and I can tell you where I am, I believe it got into the low 50s today. So, again, accumulating snow, it would be very dependent on getting heavy snowfall rates to make up for the fact that the ground's just going to really struggle to get any sort of accumulation with this. So, there's our wrap, and we're going to take one more really quick look at the Canadian model, or RDPS. And this model, it's a little lower res, also why I don't like it this close to an event, but you can see, we go into the overnight hours, just check and see if at 60 that's even snow. It is, okay. I've been forecasting winter storm consistent. I'll see a snow sounding and it will be like 45 degrees, and I'll look at it and then the sounding will say rain and it shows snow, so I just really wanted to check that, especially with this model, because maybe it's just been a couple instances, but sometimes it's a little weird with what it shows on preset map and what is actually happening. That's really with all models for winter storms, but it seems to be especially the case with the RDPS, so I just wanted to check that quickly. Just check it again up here, see what it's showing. Yeah, that's definitely snow, so we're below freezing the entire time. And let's just take a look. So this model, we also don't have the snow depth or snow depth change, which is another thing that isn't great. But we can see overall perhaps like a tiny bit of snow in these farther south areas, but overall pretty minor. And again, any more significant accumulations would be happening for upstate New York, it seems. I will say I believe that's going to be the end of my video here. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I also just recently, a couple days ago, started posting to my Twitter account, which if I did it right, it should be linked into the description, and that will allow me to give more updates on systems or warnings for a severe weather event, or maybe the most recent model runs for the snowstorm for parts of upstate New York, or perhaps a little bit of snow for other areas too, more than just once a day at most, so you can get more consistent updates. Because something I realized when I was doing this YouTube channel is that weather is very hard to predict. As such, more than one video a day can be helpful. So that's partially why I started a Twitter account, just to give people who are interested in more regular updates. But I will see you in the next video. Bye.